Hello and welcome to the Big G Video Podcast. Now today I'm going to be talking about AppSumo because in this episode I'm going to talk about my best purchases that I've made through AppSumo. I'm going to run down a list of 10 purchases from AppSumo. I've made more than 10 purchases from AppSumo, but I really like AppSumo and I discovered it through doing YouTube. So I've been using AppSumo for about 5 years and I put up a video, I cannot remember which one, and someone said, oh, you can purchase this through AppSumo. They put a comment in, and AppSumo, what's that? I've never heard of it. So I went and found out. I thought, this is great because there are so many tools that you end up using, and to not have to pay $10 or £10 a month because you've just paid a one-time fee is great. There are some dangers with AppSumo. So I've bought a couple of things through AppSumo, and then the company has eventually stopped production, or they've gone bust, or they've retired the product and you've lost out because of that. So it's not completely without risk, but it saves you so much money. So in position number 10, I bought something called Voila, which is an AI assistant, and it works in your browser. It's a Chrome extension, so you can click on it and just ask AI something. So I tend to do that when I'm doing research for a YouTube video. I tend to work in sort of Google Docs because then I can use it across multiple devices. And if I want to know something or want to know a summary, I'll tend to just go to Voila and ask it the question. So Voila is really good and it just saves me a bit of time. That's number 10. In number 9 is something called AvoMaps or AvoMap, and you can do a journey like walking, cycling or whatever, and if you're tracking it with GPS, and I've got an Apple Watch so I can do that very easily, then you can export that data and you can make it into a video. Now someone who does something very similar is Stephen J. Reed on YouTube. I'm not sure if he uses the exact same software, but he often goes off for hikes and you get like a route set up on a map that zooms in and things, and AvoMaps can do that. So that was really useful. And again, I'm going to talk about pricing. Typically, you might be paying $50 for these type of things, but that is a one-time fee rather than a reoccurring subscription payment. So Voila, I can't remember how much it would cost to go and do it normally. I can't remember how much I paid, but I wouldn't have expected to pay more than $50, and it might have even been something like $30. It's the same with AvoMaps. VideoToBlog is in position number 8, and what I like about VideoToBlog is you take your YouTube video and you run it through this AI software and you get a blog post that you can then alter, you can change it, you can edit it, and then you can publish it places. It's really useful to be able to do that. It's really good software. I don't actually know how useful it's been for me. There was a time when for each video I was using the software to make a blog post and then hosting it on Blogger. Now, I don't know whether that's driven any traffic towards my YouTube. It doesn't take long to copy a link, put it into this software, read through the blog, add the video in and things like that. There's been several improvements to VideoToBlog, and recently it's got its own hosting, which I think is very good. Because the integration to Blogger isn't great, and when I look at Blogger, I don't really know if anyone's seen it or used it, and when I look at YouTube, I don't really know if anyone, if it's acting as a source really, because I think it wouldn't make itself its own source in YouTube Studio. It would probably come up under other, so I don't know whether it has actually driven any traffic or not, or if it's any use, but certainly it's very good software. Number 7 is called ProwdFeed. Now, when I was making the videos, the weekly update videos, I used ProwdFeed because ProwdFeed allows you to make like a grid video. Quite often errors actually I found when I was making my grid video, but ProwdFeed just has these little video tools that you can use, and that might be making a grid video or sort of capturing a screenshot. And I found all these little micro tools quite useful in making video things. It's not something that I think is worth $10 a month, absolutely not. But again, for a one-time fee, it can be very useful. So at ProwdFeed, we can do things like text to video, URL to video, list videos, image to video, stats videos, screenshots, grid videos. And they're just these little tools that are really useful for things. And you can make your outputs in multiple formats. So it's useful. I don't think it's worth $10 a month though. So I'm glad I paid once and once only. Now talking about my weekly update videos, I've used AppSumo to get access to many AI avatar video SaaS platforms, and Pipio is by far the best one. Pipio was the one I used the most, and I think again I might have paid $50 or $60 for unlimited use, one-time fee. Pipio is a great AI avatar software, and I got that through AppSumo. I can't say enough about it really, it's really good. In number 5 we have Graphico. Now Graphico lets you create graphics that represent sort of data and values. It might be pie charts and other things like that, and you can save them as images and really high res images, and you can just mock these sort of ways of displaying data up really quickly just by inputting a few values and changing a few legends. So a long time ago I used to do like a summary at the end of my review videos, and I always used Graphico to create the images for that. So that was really good. Now at number 4, Trebble, and I'm actually recording this podcast with Trebble FM. Now what that does is you can upload audio to Trebble, or you can record directly into Trebble, and then you can edit with text. So it's great for cutting things out. So if I make an error, I can say a specific word, and then when I'm editing it through Trebble, I can find that word. I can cut the whole sentence out. I can remove ums and ahs, and I need to remember not to do that. Otherwise it won't make sense. I need to not do that when I'm editing, and I can cut out silences, and it transcribes as well. So that's really useful. That's in number 4, and I use that all the time for my podcasting. Now we're getting into the top 3, and in the top 3, these are things that I use all the time in almost every video, be it a podcast or something else. Number 3 is Upbeat. And again, what fantastic value that I've been able to pay once for this, around $50, and use it forever. So Upbeat is a royalty-free music platform. So you can download music and you can use it in your YouTube videos, and you shouldn't have a problem with royalty-free music. You shouldn't get any copyright strikes. Now, what normally happens with things like story blocks and all those other ones, Artlist, there are loads. I often find that I will have that service, or I've had that service, I've downloaded the music, I put it in my YouTube video, and I get someone claiming, oh, you shouldn't have access to that, and raising an issue with YouTube that I've then got to go and resolve. And I say, I've got a license for this, it's through Storyblocks, remove this strike please, or whatever they call it. And eventually it comes down. There have been some cases where it's not been removed. I've even gone to the platforms and said, look, this has happened, and they sort of shrug their shoulders. The music copyright thing on YouTube is all very complicated, etc., and errors can be made. A company kind of license it to a company like Storyblocks or Creator who's made it, typically will license it, but it's through a middleman. That middleman can then claim that you're using their music. It's all a bit messy, but what's really good about Upbeat is that that doesn't happen, because they whitelist you and they whitelist your YouTube channel. So you can actually use Upbeat for free. They've got a free aspect to it. I think you've just got to put in a credit in your YouTube description. But my channel is whitelisted, so I've never had any problems with Upbeat at all claiming anything, because my channel is whitelisted. They also do sound effects, which is really useful, and they also do motion graphics, but I don't think they do motion graphics with Final Cut Pro, which is what I use. So yeah, I don't use it for that. But again, any music tends to be from Upbeat, and it's not because I've got access to it for a one-time fee that I'm picking up Upbeat. I'm picking up Upbeat because they've got a really good library, and I just don't have to bother with having to defend myself down the line. And it's not that you have to defend yourself as soon as you upload. That can happen. You upload something and automation creates an issue. But what can also happen is 6 months, 10 years down the line, someone can have an issue and they can raise it. So I just don't get that with Upbeat, and that's fantastic. Number 2 is a service called Taria, and Taria builds all the YouTube description for you using AI. So you put in your YouTube link and it transcribes your video. Not that I necessarily need that anymore due to changes on YouTube and YouTube doing a lot of subtitles and languages, but it transcribes your video. It then suggests a title, it then suggests a video description, and it suggests tags. So that saves me an awful lot of work doing those 3. And sometimes I've got my own title in mind, and sometimes I've got my own description in mind, but I can still add Taria's in. It also suggests chapters and hashtag terms as well. Tags I'm not really bothered about, so whatever it suggests for tags, I normally just copy that and put it in. I don't think tags are important. I'm not worrying about tags. I might add something for a description, and I might add an Amazon affiliate link as well to my description, or I might put in certain keywords in the description that I think are useful. But it can also do some other things. So it can also generate thumbnails for you. Now, the thumbnails are really quite good that it generates, but they tend to be better. I found they're better when I'm doing a software review, because for a software review, there isn't really a great thumbnail you can do on your own. So it doesn't matter if AI does it. Whereas for some other videos, AI will never, I don't think AI will be as good as a human. So with YouTube, I've done the test and compare. And quite often for software reviews, the AI one is the most popular one, and the AI one is always generated through Taria. And it can also do that sort of long form to short form content as well. And it will regularly remind me that these videos are not very good. You need to make some changes here. And it also suggests the next video. So they keep adding stuff to it, and Taria is really, really good. I use Taria for every video that I make now. It always goes through Taria. I always use that. And that leads me to number 1. Now, number 1 you won't have heard of until I do some explaining. But number 1 is Crello. And you won't have heard of that because Crello was bought by VistaCreate. And it might be you haven't heard of VistaCreate. But VistaCreate is essentially very, very similar to Canva. And you will have heard of Canva. So it's essentially the same thing. You can create all manner of digital things like presentations, thumbnails, Instagram posts. You get access to a royalty-free library, music, sounds, etc. Now I use VistaCreate to do my thumbnails in. It's got some really good AI. It's got background removal. It can put like a line, like a stroke around certain things. And I just find it really good for making thumbnails. So all my thumbnails are made in Crello. That's really, really useful, Crello. So I call it Crello. It's really VistaCreate, and essentially it's Canva. It's probably not as good as Canva, but many years ago when I got it, I maybe paid $50 for it. So it's been amazing. Crello was very good. It became VistaCreate, which is part of Vistaprint, I think. Yeah, Vistaprint, which I've used Vistaprint for certain things. So those are my top 10 AppSumo purchases that have saved me a fortune buying them through AppSumo. Like I say, AppSumo is not for everyone. There is a risk that the company you will go with may stop trading, may give up, may go bust. SpeechKey was an example of that. And another company that made a video platform service called Vids. Those two I really liked and they just disappeared, but that's that. Now I'm going to talk about the videos I made this week. So it's been more than a week actually. It's probably been about over a 2-week period, but there we are. So I have a series called sort of Retro Tech, where my old tech that I've got still, because I'm a bit of a hoarder of tech, I sort of talk about. And I bought one of the very first 360 cameras, and it was called a Ricoh Theta. Bought it a long time ago. I think I bought it maybe 13 years ago. And I thought that would be a great one for my retro tech. So when I dug it out, I tried to charge it and it just wouldn't charge. It wouldn't turn on after charging it. So I thought, I think the battery needs replacing. Now, it had an integrated battery, so I had to open it up. So effectively the video is about, can I open it up and can I fix it and what's happened. I won't spoil what happened, but it maybe didn't end in a good place. The next video I did was a video about a monitor for a smartphone that allows you to use your rear cameras when vlogging or recording. So you've got an attachable monitor that you can see things with, so you can see what your rear cameras see. And that video was difficult to make because it's not the best monitor. I mean, none of these monitors are perfect. You don't want to pay a lot of money for something. You're taking a bit of a gamble. I didn't pay a lot of money for this, but it had freezing issues, so you have to use a wire to stop that. So that's sort of covered in that video. And my last video that I made, I think just a couple of days ago and released, was about using your action camera or getting cinematic footage out of your action camera. So there's a couple of tricks there that you can do to get more cinematic footage out of your action camera. Getting motion blur in is the main one. I'm not talking anamorphic. I don't have any action cameras that do anamorphic. And by action camera, I don't class the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 as an action camera. That does do anamorphic, but it's not anamorphic. It's about just getting motion blur and nice smooth footage. So those are the videos I've made this week. If you have any questions about anything I've purchased on AppSumo or AppSumo itself, do drop me a comment and I will do my best to answer it. Thank you ever so much, and goodbye.